Number 1. Assassin's Creed 2. Assassin's Creed is one of my all-time favorite games, not just on the 360 but across all platforms. I thought it managed to tell an interesting story while at the same time being a joy to play and a pleasure to look at. The idea that combat could be both intense and elegant, relying on elements of timing and reflex rather than how quickly you could mash the attack button and the level of your sword, was a welcome and appreciated new perspective. And the fluid, organic mobility made you feel the world you were exploring was a character in itself rather than just a pretty backdrop. Like all games though, Assassin's Creed had some problems. The pacing was jerky and inconsistent, with the plot often interrupting the action, and many of the game's required tasks were overly drawn out and felt superfluous. The plot pacing was off in a few places, and getting around in the game world, particularly near the end game, was a bit of a pain. The voice actor who played Altair was also a poor choice, damaging some of the game's atmosphere. Assassin's Creed 2 doesn't only fix every single one of these problems, but it expands on the original's foundation. The game is poetry in motion. It simply looks amazing. The animations are smooth and create a fluidity that tops even the first game, much less everything else out there. Combats never seem to get old, closer to what we see in cinematics than the combat mechanics of most other games. Pacing problems have been solved, the plot moves along at a much more brisk pace, and the storytelling has been brought up a notch. The filler missions have been trimmed and either added back as optional events or integrated seamlessly into AC2's host of new mechanics, like equipment, notoriety, and money. The voice acting and cinematography are very good and feel more appropriate this time around. Assassin's Creed 2 introduces a number of new systems, such as notoriety, which acts as a more permanent consequence to your actions, a set of linear catacombs which serve to test the player's platforming skills more directly, and an economic system where items such as healing and throwing knives as well as new equipment and armor can be purchased and upgraded. Each one of these adds to the depth of what was a well-established, if relatively simple game. The only thing that was lost in the transition from original to sequel, and my only substantial criticism of the game, is the difficulty. Now, it's my opinion that a game does not need to be hard or even challenging at all to be excellent. A game's difficulty plays more to the character of a game rather than its overall quality. However, I did notice that I more or less breezed through this one. A few of the new mechanics, such as allowing you to carry healing items which work instantly, and the ability to upgrade one's armor, as well as an improvement in the main character's arsenal of weapons and techniques, added up to a significantly easier game. It didn't detract much from the experience as a whole, and it probably made the game more accessible to newcomers, but I thought it was worth mentioning. Assassin's Creed 2 was, for me, a nearly perfect game. Exciting, enthralling, enjoyable, beautiful, and memorable. As a gamer, I'm generally not that hard to please. I can often find something to like, even in a subpar game, that will make the experience worthwhile to me. So for me, a truly excellent game is one that I don't have to search for something to like, but rather have to search for something to complain about. This game is so polished, so elegant, so solid, and so deep that when it was over I couldn't come up with a single thing wrong with it. And that is why Assassin's Creed 2 is my number 1 game of 2009.
Such energy you have. Perhaps if we send you to the mine...
So there you have it, my top 10 Xbox 360 games of 2009. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it, and even more, I hope you saw a game in this list that maybe you haven't tried and now you're interested in. As I said, I encourage comments, so tell me what you think, which games you would have higher, which games you'd have lower, what you liked and what you didn't like. So thanks once again, and here's to hopefully another great year of gaming in 2010.